is in a messy situation. Na sio ule messy mchapa kandanda. It's a very messy situation. I heard yesterday William Ruto akiwa Mombasa akisema that their economic model is working. I don't know how many of you saw that. When he bought a car for 1 million shillings, and then he said the economic model is actually working. Now, how can it work when Kenyans who now live below the poverty line, and our brother Fred Matiang'i has been working at those levels of the World Bank and IFC, the Bretton Woods institutions, and somebody who cannot afford $1 per day is seen to live below the poverty line. $1 per day is today 128, 130 shillings. How many Kenyans today, clearly, yani tuambiane ukweli, ambao hawezi kabisa siku moja kupata shilingi 130? Ni wengi. So hiyo namba sasa imeteremka to levels that are not even describable. And yet, tunaambiwa uchumi unafanya vizuri. Now, let me tell you the truth. Kasongo's government is rated at just about 20%. I think I'm generous. I remember that 20% Governor Wavinya, because we said when I was co-chairing NADCO, right? Remember NADCO? Which they are now trying belatedly to do something about. That at least let us increase mgao wa serikali za counties kutoka 15 to 20. That is in our strong recommendation. But these guys are not even able to implement what they asked us to do. And they say the country is doing well. That actually is like living in a fool's paradise. And Kenyans are not foolish. Kwa hivyo, mimi nataka tujue kwamba wakati moja nilikuwa waziri wa elimu. My brother Matiang'i at some stage also became Minister for Education. There are several things we did in conformity with international statutes. At that time, we had a conference in Jomtien. That's a country, a place in Indonesia, when the world agreed to the concept of lifelong learning. So you really cannot stop going to school or learning. The Jomtien Declaration. And then at about that time, child rights were the issue, the main thing. So I had the privilege to outlaw, as Minister for Education, corporal punishment in all our schools. Well, I remembered also, as a Christian, the Bible tells me, you spare the rod, you spoil the child. Now we have to do a balance. The balance is you do not have to use literally a cane to dismember a child, kumpiga kama mnyama wa porini na vitu kama hivyo. Even today, I'm sure there are some schools where corporal punishment is practiced differently. We did that. Just like we did start I actually appointed the first chief executive officer of the Higher Education Loans Board. And a lot of us in the leadership position actually went through that. We used to call it boom. During my time, it was 6,000 shillings or something. And it was useful. In addition, we used to have decent catering services at the university. CCU, Central Catering Unit. Today, even living standards in our public universities are in a pathetic situation. There's not much honor in being a university student. And yet I'm reminded by my brother Muturi when we were discussing. Those days when you qualified to go to university, I think Fred, you also mentioning, your name would appear in the newspapers. Mpaka villagers wanaona unabeba gazeti yako in Embu, they will go to buy from Kanyombora to buy in Embu na kwenda unaringa, angalia jina yangu kwa newspapers. Therefore, the dignity of being a university student today is absent. And quality higher education, zero. I must remind us that the right to education is a basic human right. It is one of those, Article 43, is it, Wakili Ndego, those rights like the right not to sleep hungry. So let us not play around with it. The only reason we're able to gather here today and feel stress-free is because of Constitution 2010. We saw William Ruto and Raila Odinga and a few others go to celebrate Katiba at 15 years. Oh, some of them said no to that constitution. We know it. Said no. Because to have a spirit of constitutionalism, you really have to, it was Okoth Ogendo who taught a lot of us land law, for those of you who studied law, that you can have a constitution without constitutionalism. And that is lacking in this administration. What this team is trying to do is to say order, like Muturi will tell you. We have a constitution, our guiding document. And we are going in the next administration to make this country be honored worldwide. Because our Bill of Rights, for example, recognizes the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, imported, I think, via Clause 2 of the Constitution, right? Or Article 20 of the Constitution, that these are parts of a domestic law. Men, I can also teach law at the university, all right? Okay, so, but that is why we are here. Nobody can interfere with this thing, but we're also seeing intolerance. Yani wakisikia mtu anaita Gachagua, hawezi kulala. Kisikia Rigiji, kwanza kisema one term, wanapatwa na wazimu. Now all of us are saying one term, not just Gachagua. How many of you are saying one term? Yani you mean it? Yes. Sema one term. One term. That's what it is. Wekaongo. Gachagua is...
Where we are not trying to prove that any generation is better than another. But we know that inordinately your generation bears the burden of a dead can that is being kicked down the road. Ruto is borrowing money on the commercial markets. Expensive money to pay cheaper debts, but he's kicking the can about when that money is going to be paid, when you are the ones who are going to be responsible, and he'll be back in the village roasting goats. We do not want to compete between generations. We want to create conditions under which representatives and leaders of younger Kenyans sit down with us, with the leaders of thought and research, with the political leaders, and we co-own the agenda of this nation. I'm going to be out of the country for the next 3 weeks, but I promise to give you an early opportunity for student leaders. You come, we talk together about how we can engage with the leadership of this alliance. Asanteni sana kwa kunisikiza.
Devolution is under threat. Muliona chairman wangu wa Council of Governors akiongea. The two governments are distinct. Kuna national government, kuna county governments. Na hakuna kitu kibaya kama sisi ni magavana. Tuna lead counties zetu. Tunaambiwa whether you like it or not, we are going to do it. Life is not like that. Hii dunia ni watu kuongea na kusemezana. You cannot force things down the throat of people, not even your own children. I can say we are not happy as the Council of Governors. And we are going to come out very clearly now. We will talk. Hatukutakubali kusukumiwa vitu. Tunaambiwa wanajaribu kusema corruption. Sasa wametoa corruption kwa national government. Now governors ndio wanasukumiwa corruption. Governors ni corrupt. Governors ni corrupt. We are not going to naambia tena tumia maneno ya procurement plan. Hiyo procurement system yao. You know your dons. You know very well. With a system, you must first try it out, isn't it? And if it works, kwanza you run it parallel with the old system. And if it works, then you change over to the new system, leaving the other system as a backup. Kuna mambo mengi, there are so many functions. Zile ziko suppose kukua kwa county, bado ziko kwa national government. Agriculture is devolved. Why would fertilizer be bought from the national government? Markets are devolved. Why would markets be built by the national government? And at the end of the day, they have to come to us to show them the land where they are going to build the markets. And after, they don't want even to give the governors the money. They want to spend the money themselves. But we show them where they are going to, mali wataenda kujenga soko. Wakenya, sincerely speaking, it is high time we woke up and just spoke the truth and tell the president vile mambo iko. Na akikataa, waamuzi ni nyinyi. Tunaelewana? Akikataa, waamuzi ni kina nani?